Hey guys, welcome to the channel. If you're new, welcome back if you're a subscriber. Special thanks to all my patrons. My name's Neil, and it's time for the final episode of Chernobyl. This has been an incredibly powerful ride, guys. This show, it's been well written, well crafted. It's beautifully, if horrifyingly shot, no holds barred. It's unflinching in the tragedy that it's portraying. And I've loved every minute of it, despite it not being fun, if that makes any sense at all. It's been hard and painful, and yet I've really appreciated the ride. It's been worth it. And here we are at the final episode, episode 5. And I'm not sure how this is going to tie itself up, because obviously the imminent danger of Chernobyl was contained. They prevented the meltdown. They prevented the core reaching into the groundwater supply, for instance. But the devastation was massive, and the effects are still felt today and will continue to be felt for decades and decades more to come. So, is this going to be a, quote, happy ending where, you know, we finally get the core contained within the concrete shell that I believe stands there today? Or is there going to be a more negative, depressing resolution? I just don't know. I'm also curious how much time is going to elapse. Last episode, we sort of got away from the immediate aftermath, and we started seeing events months after the initial explosion. We saw the birth of we saw the one woman go into labor and her child not surviving. Thankfully we didn't get that graphically shown, but we could imagine, and that's almost worse. We saw the camps of workers and all the terrible cleanup that they had to do in the surrounding countryside for months and months afterwards. So I'm very curious to see what more we see in this episode. It's been an incredibly educational and informative show so far. I thought I knew some stuff about Chernobyl, but I've clearly learned so much more because of this show. I hope that it's factual enough that I haven't been misled, and I don't think that's the case. But I also know that some liberties are always taken during the dramatization of historical events. Characters are created or modified. Sometimes chronology is tweaked a little bit. So yeah, I'm just curious to see where we go from here, and I'm ready for my heart to be broken yet again, because that's what this show has been incredibly capable of doing, is just crushing my heart and stomping on my soul. And I keep coming back for more. So let's jump into it, guys. This is episode 5, Chernobyl, and it's called Vichnaya Pamyat, which I have no idea what that means. Oh, we're going back in time, I guess. We're seeing vehicles. Yeah. This is back in time. It really was kind of like a really prosperous model community, wasn't it? For Soviet-era Russia and Ukraine, I mean. Or is this... yeah. 12 hours before. That peaceful, that simple.
This little problem we have with the safety test, if it's completed successfully, yes, I think promotion's very likely.
I would like to be considered.
We'll keep that in mind. Viktor Petrovich.
Are you going to ask me if there's a problem, Nikolai? You can't read a fucking face. 3 years I've tried to finish this test. 3 years.
They've known that there's a problem with these control rods or something, right?
We can't lower power any further, not for another 10 hours.
Do it late at night.
So do we have to scrap it or what?
No, I don't think so.
Running half power, we're not going to have stability issues.
It's safe. I'll personally supervise the test, and it will be completed.
So they knew there was an issue running at the power levels they were running at? Is that what I'm supposed to interpret from this? Well, he's sizing up the office for himself. Yeah, don't get too used to it, buddy. All three of you are screwed. Who's he? We haven't seen him yet, have we? Or is he just a driver for somebody else?
You went to the doctor yesterday. How is your health?
You don't know?
At last, a Soviet scientist who tells the truth. I think it's fair to say you made an excellent impression at the conference. The West is now satisfied that Chernobyl was solely the result of operator error, which it essentially was.
Oh, this is after the fact now. Okay.
I understand my duty to the state. But you gave us assurances. The reactors would be made safe.
First, the trial.
Presumably he's got cancer. He said he'd get it. This is months afterwards. Back in his apartment. Who was he recording the tapes for, though? At the very beginning. We haven't found that out yet. Yeah, he's losing his hair. That shouldn't be surprising. He's not alarmed. He knew it was coming.
The state will never willingly fix the reactors because acknowledging the problem means admitting that they lied. They will have to be forced. If we...
Do you know what happened to Volkov, the man whose report you found? They just removed him, sacked for the crime of knowing. They will shoot me. I've already given my life. Isn't that enough?
No, I'm sorry, but it is not.
I like how much we're spending on... Are those all the vehicles abandoned from Chernobyl? Too radioactive to use anywhere else? Wow. Crazy. They're back.
Indictments. Viktor Brukhanov, Anatoly Dyatlov, Nikolai Fomin.
All three of them. Just Dyatlov got 10 years, right? Oh, model of the plant. Show trial. Here we go. Oh, I like that camera angle.
It began with, of all things, a safety test. In order to sign this certificate, all safety tests had to have been successfully completed, and yet one remained.
They've been trying for 3 years to get that test done.
What if the dying turbine could keep the pumps working long enough to bridge the 60-second gap?
Is this all just part of the show trial?
The science is strong, but a test is only as good as the men carrying it out. And the first time they tried, the second time they tried, the third time they tried, they failed. The fourth time they tried was April 26, 1986.
Phew. It's all true, I suppose, but stuff is being left out about the design of the reactor itself being an issue. That's my understanding of what's happening here.
Why was this delay so dangerous? It created two problems. One of them is scientific, and the other is very human. At midnight, there is a shift change.
Just a less experienced crew on at for the night shift, I guess.
Turbine rundown. They tried it last year. They couldn't do it on the day shift, so they've given it to us.
To us? We don't know what...
Dyatlov is going to be supervising.
I have to do something I've never done before with Dyatlov looking over my shoulder.
Oh, don't worry. Just looking at the instructions now.
Ugh.
He says to follow the cross-down instructions.
So then why are they crossed down?
Is it too much to ask that you all know what you're doing?
I haven't reviewed. We only just found out we're...
There, review it. Or you can just do what I tell you. I think even you, stupid as you are, can manage that.
Man.
Well, let's go.
I hate seeing this all play out.
Shut the fuck up and do your job.
Reducing power to 700.
I want you to think of Yuri Gagarin. I want you to imagine that
First
he
man
has been
in
told
space.
nothing of his mission into space until the moment that he is on the launch pad. All he has is a list of instructions that he has never seen before, some of which have been crossed out. The night shift had not been trained to perform the experiment. They hadn't even been warned it was happening. Leonid Topchenov, all of 25 years old. And his total experience on the job? 4 months.
That's it. Oh. Even though it's a show trial, it's super compelling. Oh, camera's gone all handheld and it's not stabilized anymore.
The reactivity which generates power either goes up or it goes down. That's it. All the operators do is maintain balance. When nuclear fuel gets hotter, it gets less reactive. So, fuel increases reactivity. Control rods and water reduce it. Steam increases it. The rise in temperature reduces it. This is the invisible dance that powers entire cities without smoke or flame. And it is beautiful when things are normal. When the core is running at full power, it burns the xenon away before it can cause a problem. But because of the delay, the xenon did not burn away.
Okay.
It built up, poisoning the core. We're starting to lose balance.
You should have finished by now.
We're following protocol for reduction rate.
You're procrastinating.
Oh,
The 10
frickin'
other men in this
Dyatlov.
plant would have done it already.
Oh, now it's coming down fast.
Very slow now.
No,
Whoa,
it's
stop.
crashing.
I didn't move any rods there.
Yeah, it's something terribly wrong is going wrong.
What is this?
Yeah.
LAC disabled, global control activated.
No. Just what?
What did you do?
I apologize for this unsatisfactory result. We have to shut down by 24 hours.
No, we're doing the test tonight. Raise power to 700.
We can't raise the power from here. The rules.
Don't talk to me about rules. There is no rule.
I won't do it. It isn't safe.
See, if I say it's safe, it's safe. And if the two of you disagree, then you don't have to work here. And I think you know I will see to it.
What an asshole. What a terrible asshole.
I would like you to record your command.
Raise the power.
This guy knew. This guy knew it wasn't safe.
Recess, 30 minutes.
I hate people being sick from radiation in this show. Utterly helpless. Like there's nothing you can do. Just a long, slow decline. Or a fast decline, but it's an inevitable decline.
Do you know anything about this town, Chernobyl?
They're actually doing the trial in Chernobyl.
The Jews were killed in pogroms, and Stalin forced the Poles out. And then the Nazis came and killed whoever was left. People came to live here anyway. No one ever thinks it's going to happen to them. When they told me they were putting me in charge, and they said it wasn't serious, I believed them. You know why? Because they put you in charge. Of all the ministers and all the deputies, they mistakenly sent the one good man.
Life inches forward. Is she the one that he's sending the tapes to at the very beginning of the show? Like another plant manager?
The reactor is drowning in poison. To make matters worse, the reactor isn't hot enough to produce sufficient steam.
Oh boy.
The control rods are out. The emergency system has been disconnected. The only thing keeping the reactor in check is water. The test is minutes away.
This slow march inevitable march of incompetence towards disaster is just killing me.
We should stop.
Turn that fucking thing off. You have 15 minutes.
Oh, God.
The problem they were facing was not solvable. The power was too low, the water was too high. The test was already ruined. Based on the absence of sufficient control rods, the computer is recommending that the reactor be shut down.
Well, of course it's saying that. It doesn't know we're running a test.
Oh.
We did everything right.
So they kept telling themselves in the first episode, we did everything right.
The pumps stopped moving water through the reactor. Uranium fuel is now unchecked by fresh coolant, unchecked by control rods. The balance immediately swings in the opposite direction. Steam increases reactivity, increases heat, increases steam, increases reactivity. The remaining xenon decays
Burns
away.
off.
There's nothing left to stop it. 1:23
Look at it
and
go.
35 seconds.
What did you do?
1:23 and 40 seconds.
This is terrible.
You press AZ5, all of the control rods insert at once, and the reaction is stopped, dead. But
There's a flaw in the design. Or is he going to say they didn't hit it in time?
Tell your lies.
Comrade Dyatlov, you will not be warned again.
Or what's coming? He knows something.
Comrade Dyatlov.
She knows something.
We've heard enough for today.
we still have more evidence to give.
It's not necessary. Your testimony is concluded.
Oh, they're not going to...
We will resume tomorrow.
Let him finish.
Yeah. He outranks them, doesn't he?
In the circumstances he created, the shutdown system had a fatal flaw. These rods are made of boron, which reduces reactivity, but not the tips. The tips are made of graphite, which accelerates reactivity.
Why?
For the same reason our reactors do not have containment buildings around them. For the same reason we don't use properly enriched fuel in our cores. It's cheaper. Chernobyl Reactor 4 is now a nuclear bomb.
Wow.
Reactor 4, designed to operate at 3,200 megawatts, went beyond 33,000. 1:23:45, explosion. Oxygen rushes in. It combines with hydrogen and superheated graphite.
It's a nightmare. Yeah. And there's our chunks of graphite. Man.
No one in the room that night knew the shutdown button could act as a detonator because it was kept from them.
You mean to suggest the Soviet state is somehow responsible for what happened? Then I must warn you, you're treading on dangerous ground.
I've already trod on dangerous ground. We're on dangerous ground right now because of our secrets and our lies. They're practically what define us.
Well, we know he doesn't get sent to the gulag or shot, but 10 months later he's dead. You did it. You did the right thing. What is up with the knockoff Mickey Mouse? It's such a odd juxtaposition with everything else in this show.
Valery Alexeyevich Legasov, at the Kurchatov Institute. You were the Communist Party secretary. You're one of us, Legasov. You're not brave. You're not heroic. You're just a dying man who forgot himself.
I know what I've done. In a just world, I would be shot for my lies, but not for this, not for the truth.
No one's getting shot, Legasov. Your testimony today will not be accepted by the state. It will not be disseminated in the press.
Yeah, no one will hear it. But maybe he got through to the other scientists who are at the trial.
You will not communicate with anyone about Chernobyl ever again. You will remain so immaterial to the world around you that when you finally do die, it will be exceedingly hard to know that you ever lived at all.
Brutal. I don't feel like that threat got through to him. Like, I don't feel like that threat mattered to him. He's already resigned himself to death, and the purpose of it wasn't that the world would necessarily hear, but that the other nuclear scientists at the trial would hear. And maybe we could change the other reactors. I'm blown away that the other 3 reactors in Chernobyl are still running. That seems insane to me.
To be a scientist is to be naive. We are so focused on our search for truth, we fail to consider how few actually want us to find it. But it is always there. It will lie in wait for all time. And this, at last, is the gift of Chernobyl. Where I once would fear the cost of truth, now I only ask, what is the cost of lies?
So he's real. And they were for the rest of the scientific community. Oh, all of them got 10 years, okay. I think I had heard about that. That it's all still there. Oh. Oh, wow. Really? Wow. I thought they were goners for sure. That's amazing. I wondered how directly it was related. It's a huge range, like anywhere between 4 and 93,000. Ugh. 31. Brutal. Wow, for an episode that was over 70 minutes long, that went really quickly. And a very different vibe from the previous 4 episodes where we were dealing with the horrors of the accident itself, and this one was all about the cover-up, the trial, the truth, the lies, and a little more information about exactly how it happened in the first place. Even though we had been getting those clues throughout the entire series. I can't decide whether this is a happy ending or not. The truth came out, and because he killed himself, his colleagues listened to him, and they ended up retrofitting all the other reactors in the Soviet Union. But the cost, the cost, the number of lives, the poisoning of the land, just the horror of the entire event in such a prolonged aftermath. I think that's the hard thing to wrap our heads around. We're so, as the human race is so used to adjusting to a new normal, and what was terrible last week is fine this week. We adjust almost too well, and while that makes us an incredibly adaptive species, it also the unintended result of that is that we forget how bad things are. We forget the true cost. There were some positive notes in that final montage of old photos and sort of catching us up on the story as best as known. The fact that Ludmilla, the pregnant woman that we saw right at the beginning of the series, ended up having a child. That's amazing. I mean, that brought a smile to my face. The divers, I thought those guys had days to live based on what they were putting themselves through, where they were going under the reactor. That two of them are still alive today is mind-boggling to me. It seems crazy that the net result of punishment from this was that 3 men got 10 years in prison. And ultimately, like, Dyatlov was an asshole and had no regard for safety, and the only reason they were doing the test in the middle of the night was because he had his eye on promotion. They all had their eyes on promotion. They were all due for promotion as soon as that test was complete. That's what was spelled out to us at the very start of the episode. And that was their focus. That's why they wanted to do the test. Not because the test needed to be done, but because once they completed the test, promotions all around. And that's all Dyatlov was focused on. And the truth was that he thought he had the failsafe. He thought, what was it, AZ5, that button, the failsafe button, he had that to rely on in case things went sideways. He could hit that, shut the plant down. Bob's your uncle. Now we just have to slowly gear back up. But in fact, there was a design flaw, a known design flaw, that had been buried by the Soviet state. I mean, it's so frustrating on so many levels. Yes, they deserve to be punished, but there's so much more wrong with the system than 3 men being ambitious and selfish and unsafe. So much more wrong with the system than just that. But that was the result. I do find it interesting that, like, I asked the question, I forget in what episode, you know, like, how directly did Chernobyl lead to the collapse of the Soviet Empire? And Gorbachev apparently felt like it directly caused it. That doesn't entirely surprise me. It really doesn't. I mean, it's a global admission of failure. With one of the things that is most scary to the entire human population. You know, ever since Hiroshima and Nagasaki, like, the world has been petrified of nuclear energy. And a lot has been done to ameliorate that fear, but that lingering knowledge of what things could look like if things go wrong is what will never take it will never be entirely positively viewed by the public. Nuclear power. It'll always have that tinge of terror to it. And the events that we've just spent the last 5 hours exploring just reinforce that immeasurably. They lock that connotation in for all time. Chernobyl will always be known for that and that alone. And when anyone ever talks about the benefits of nuclear power, there will always be, if it's not verbalized, there will always be a silent but Chernobyl to follow, because it's on everybody's mind. And it should be. After the horrors I've witnessed on this show in the last 5 episodes, it absolutely should be. Let me just say, I'm glad I watched this show. I've said it multiple times during the course of these reactions. This has not been fun, but it has been incredibly educational, informative, and powerful. And I'm glad I've seen it. I feel I understand a little bit better now. And that matters. Understanding is important. I thought it really interesting. I'd just be paraphrasing, but in the final remarks, he said, scientists are always searching for the truth, but we have to remember how few people actually want to hear it. Most people don't want to actually know truth, because it rarely, it often precipitates change, and change is so often uncomfortable. So scientists have to be naive in that sense as they pursue the truth. And yet every single one of our scientists in this show said, I know how the world works. They understand how it actually happens, how they become part of the political apparatus if necessary, and how they add legitimacy to the government through the lies that they're essentially forced to tell. I'm doing this reaction 2 days after the Russian invasion of the Ukraine, guys. And my heart breaks. It's weird to be watching a show that's about the Soviet Union and the Ukraine 36 years ago, and 2 days, barely 36 hours ago, Russia, which still bears a lot of the markings of the USSR, now invading, a lot of the places we've seen in this series. I'm not going to turn this into a political discourse. My heart just goes out to everybody affected, and I hope that this ends soon. It's not a conflict in the way I'd put it. It's an invasion, let's be clear. It's just as heartbreaking as the show. I don't know what else to say. I thank you guys for following me on this journey. It's been an emotional one, and I appreciate all your thoughts and comments. If there's more information that you can shed on all of this, I would love to hear it. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and if you are considering supporting the channel, the absolute best way to do that is by checking out my Patreon at patreon.com/NeilTalks. Every little bit helps, and I greatly appreciate each and every one of you. Now that this show is over, we are going to be jumping into The Leftovers, which I've heard very good things about. Kind of a spiritual sequel to Lost in a lot of ways. So I'm looking forward to getting into that. And if you don't want to miss my reaction to the premiere of that, be sure to subscribe and hit that bell for notifications. And until next time, everybody, take care, stay healthy, and we'll see you soon. Cheers.